Let's get it. Let's get it cracking. Oh, we up in here, team no sleep. Boy, goodness gracious. Let's go ahead and we hold on. Now we just gonna start. So shouts out to my man Jerry Spink and his brand.
There you
Montel
go.
Allen, what's going
Gotta
on?
get a shout out. Gotta give a shout out.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay
So
focused
got
on
to.
you. Montel is
Yeah.
is rocking the gear. Man, you look good in the gear there too. Appreciate you for doing that. Look, it's all family, man. It's all family.
Always, man. Always, man. Gotta show support to those out there, man. Especially you, James. You opening so many doors for so many brothers and sisters and people in general just to get their voice out there, man. I can't say enough how much we appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. We're gonna rise together. We definitely gonna rise together. Let me go ahead and make sure I got my comments right. I see senior in see, man, I gotta get these comments to show what to write. Well, that's all right if his shows up real big like that. That's all good.
Yeah.
That's senior. So
The man that raised you right. There you go.
there it is.
Shout out.
There it is. Oh, see that there go my peoples too coming in. What it do, man? What it do? Come in and don't start nothing tonight. Don't act a fool. This is my dude here like to act a fool. So, but I love him. Appreciate him too for everything that he's doing in the community. Let's get into it, brother. Let's get into it. What is it? June 14th? Almost close to Juneteenth.
Yep.
But that's another show for another week. We'll probably talk about that next week for sure.
Yes, sir.
A lot of things going on. We always like to start with the social impact story. And, you know, I make the statement about Juneteenth, and this just could be something along those lines, right? Just again, recognition, acceptance, just all kinds of things going on, right? So we've had this conversation on Team No Sleep before about the transgender athletes competing or wanting to compete with. A transgender athlete starts off as a man, is now a woman who now wants to compete with the women. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? Okay.
Yep, you said right.
Okay. Louisiana's coming out, and they are now the 18th state to enact the transgender athlete ban. It could have died in the Louisiana legislature if the governor had enacted and said, you know what, no, this ain't gonna happen. But he didn't let that happen. So that's telling it in of itself, right? Let's talk about this and what your thoughts are, Montel, and everyone in the audience as well. Again, we've had this conversation about unfair advantage, about maybe there needs to be separate leagues, separate categories for folks that identify as transgender and things of that nature. But this is telling right now. We up to 18. We had a decent number of states that are saying you can't just decide now that you want to be on this side of the field as well and compete with the women because you now identify as a woman. So talk to me about your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with banning. Banning is not that's a strong notion. I believe they should be able to create another lane for transgenders to compete in. I do agree with the unfair advantage. If you have an unfair advantage if you're, especially if you're a former man competing to, change your body and now you're becoming a woman or you identify with a woman now, for you to be able to compete because now you have a physical advantage, somewhat of a physical advantage, just because of the structure of the body and muscle tone. So I'm not sure how, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I know there's something that needs to be thought about in our NCAA. Yeah. And I think the NCAA needs to start working, and high school sports needs to start working with their local government to figure out, how are they going to do this? Because obviously it's a big enough audience now of transgenders that are starting to compete in sports. So now it's time to start to create different lanes and also explain it. I mean, I think, they're just saying, hey, we're not doing transgenders. I think they need to explain it and explain the reason and why they're doing the ban and why it's, they feel it's unfair, and kind of start to have that dialogue and that conversation. I don't think they're having that conversation. I just think people are really jumping the gun. Me personally, I feel that it's unfair. I do. Right here, Montel Allen, I think it's unfair for a transgender to compete against that sex. But that's my lens, right? I'm looking at through my lens. I'm not looking at through their lens, and I'm not looking through somebody else's lens. I'm just seeing it from my point of view. And we've always said we would welcome someone to come on the show to kind of explain their lens and talk about how they feel about it, if they oppose that, right? To kind of give us some conversation around that. But I think ban is strong. I think they just need to come to the table and figure out a different means for them to have the ability to compete. Because I would hate for a young person just because of their sexual orientation preference, that they want to change that, or the physical preference, they want to change that they're banned from playing sports. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right either. That's not the right conversation to have either. I think they need to find another lane for them to be able to compete against people that are, against people that are similar, or where they do not have that physical advantage in competing in the sport because of the gender change.
Got you.
It's kind of right there.
I recently had a very similar conversation with some of my extended family about folks who identify as transgender and things of that nature. And you're right. This topic needs to be continually be discussed. This is where we talk about those kinds of things, where we have those awkward conversations. So if anyone out there listening, watching, whatever the case may be, if you are someone or you know someone, please get them in touch. And we'd like to have kind of a more focused conversation with you about this particular topic. I agree with you on the statement that I think this is the word ban is tough, right? That's a harsh word, and there's no joke around that, and that seems like forever.
Yeah, it's funny, they got the Fairness Women's Sports Act. I would really love to figure out who wrote that and what perspective they were writing it from. You know what I mean? I wanted that, and I think that's what's kind of led to the ban of them competing against women. And like I said, I agree with that, but it should be, we're gonna ban you competing against other women, but we're going to working towards to create a lane for you guys to compete. Or not you guys, you people to compete. I just said, I'm sorry, I'm being politically incorrect with my speech. Sorry about that.
We all trying to learn. Listen, we all trying to learn.
I'm learning myself, but for them to be able to compete, so like that doesn't give that unfair advantage. There in this article, when I was reading, there's no discussion. They're going to start talking about that or open those conversations up. This is all about, hey, you can't do it. So, I like you said, I think the verbiage is just wrong. Banned is wrong, in my opinion.
And it was again probably written down in a vacuum by folks who didn't do exactly what we just now said. Let's reach out and have this conversation. But for folks who aren't reading this, or for folks who are going to be listening in, this bill is to become law on August the 1st. Like Montel stated, it's called the Fairness in Women's Sports Act, and it requires that schools designate intercollegiate and interscholastic athletic teams according to the biological sex of their team members. It defines biological sex as a sex listed on a person's birth certificate at the time of their birth. So again, if you progress, come into your own, come into the state that you identify as something different than what you were born, and you now want to be recognized as, to each their own. But if you want to be recognized as something else, and you identify as something else, and you want to play sports in 18 states, right now it's not going to happen. And again, I think this was created in a vacuum. It wasn't really had that dialogue. There were no committees of like-minded folks talking about it. So this needs to be talked about a little bit more. And we need to get some subject matter experts around to talk about this.
This right here, like you said, created in a vacuum. This reminds me of a bitter parent. Or a bitter parent writing this act.
Yeah.
Someone that's either they see their daughter possibly competing against a transgender, or a transgender can probably compete against them at either college or high school or the various sports or something, and they want to nip it in the bud before it even happens.
Yeah.
I think this is something. This is similar to kind of like, they're just not having the conversations, and I think this isn't back in 1960s, right, where they would just implement bans and laws without having discussions. I think now that we're here in the 2020s, this thing needs to be discussed and tabled for conversation. And yes, I do believe, no, they shouldn't be able to compete against women, but you can't isolate them out either. You know what I mean? Where at the end of the day, we're human beings, regardless of what you identify with, but you can't isolate them either. So what is the medium and what's the answer?
Yeah.
They're not providing the answer. They're providing just a closure of a door and not having anything with it. And I'm surprised that 18 states jumped on it without having that conversation.
Yeah, without it being breaking news, right? Without it being at the top of the major news networks, the CNNs, the Foxes, whomever is taking us to talk about it.
And remember, it's talking about high school as well as college. So now we're talking about a big gap. What if you're in high school, and you're a male, you compete all the way, then you get to college and then you want to change,
Well,
like the purple swimmer.
think about this too. So these ages, what else are we talking about from a competition perspective? We talk about every 4 years. We talking about the Olympics, right? We talking about these phenomenal athletes who now who grew up wanting to go out and represent their country, and now 18 states are saying, listen, you can't play over here. You need to play somewhere else. And you've grown up all of your life wanting to go to Beijing, Vancouver, wherever the Olympics are. And those hopes and dreams are now starting to get shattered.
The thing is, you have to compromise yourself now. If you're having that identity crisis where you want to change it to a woman, you have to compromise yourself if you want to still do the sports you love, right? That's basically what it's saying. Because if let's look at Bruce Jenner now, Caitlyn Jenner. If he wouldn't be able to do that now. He wouldn't be able to change himself to Caitlyn Jenner and compete.
Yeah.
And we already know he's an elite athlete, elite male athlete. He was an elite athlete, period, regardless. So
and Caitlyn Jenner is in alignment being opposed to transgender athletes competing with
against female. Yeah.
Right. So he's within that realm of conversation as well. Hey, Jim, I just approved your comment. I think YouTube thought it was something crazy, so I just approved. I'm not sure why it hasn't popped up on the screen, but I got you, brother. I'm not blocking.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying it's you have to kind of, you're going to be in a conflict now. I think the people that are in that lane of being transgender.
Yeah.
If you want to play sports, you have to compromise who you really want to become or who you want to identify with in order to continue to play your sport.
Yeah.
Right. And compete at the high school, college level. I don't think that's right. So there's two lanes in this thing that I feel. I feel it's wrong for a transgender to compete against that sex. If you're male to female, female to male, to compete against that other sex. And I feel it's wrong that they can not allowed to compete at all. So there has to be somewhere along the line where they can fix this. Maybe and we discussed it before. Maybe transgenders compete against other transgenders, in their sport.
To me, I mean, just saying that just doesn't seem. It doesn't sound right, and I don't know.
And that's just co-ed. I mean, we talked about
that makes sense. Now that I can get down with. That I can get down. Yeah,
we can figure that out. I mean, it's funny. And I was thinking about it, man, as we were talking about it. It's funny when we're young, right? When you're 5 years old, they play co-ed soccer, right?
Yeah.
When you're in high school, and you're competing in PE, it's co-ed softball, and it's co-ed kickball, and it's co-ed volleyball. Well, why don't we set the boundaries where there's co-ed opportunities for them to compete at the high school level and at the collegiate level, so they don't feel isolated, right?
Yeah.
You can't compete on strictly. If you're a former male wanting to be female, you can't compete strictly with the women, but you can't go compete in the co-ed and kind of compete in that lane. So I mean, I don't know, man. I don't have the answer. I mean,
this is tough, right? This is definitely a tough conversation.
I can't pretend I have an answer.
Yeah.
But I already know I would be opposed if a transgender was competing against my daughter, right? And they had an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Physical advantage over my daughter. She was working really hard for her sport, and then all of a sudden, someone comes in with an unfair physical advantage because they used to be a male, and then take her job or beat her in something that she worked really, really hard at. I would have a problem with that. Yeah. That's just my personal problem, but I know I would have an issue with it.
Well, a lot of the outspoken parents who have said something online have stated exactly the same thing, right? They have said that they have some hesitation and they would have an issue with kind of a commingling of the competition. So I think co-ed just sounds right. Put us in front of those rooms. Let us make these decisions, man. We can make these things happen.
I think that's open for discussion, right? That's the discussion we should be having. Like, okay, well, if we're not going to do this, let's have a co-ed type of competition with them being able to participate in these sports. I do believe, not only do I believe, like, I would have a problem, like I said, someone competing against my daughter. I also have a problem with them banning. I do. I have a problem with them saying you can't compete no more just because, you want to be a transgender. That's also not the right answer either. So I'm not quite sure, man, what those discussions they have behind those closed doors. But whatever it is, I don't feel what they're saying right now, especially in that verbiage in that article, that's not right either.
Yeah.
So
the first pass is definitely that draft should not have come out.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump on. We gonna jump
Yeah,
on it.
they can't be no forever bylaws. They need to be able to go back and
That needs to be written in number 2 pencil for sure.
and doing some different things. But I mean, all in all, that man, I mean, like I said, I think we got to see it between some different lanes, and then also who's on that board and who's on that committee.
Yep.
Like, is it really well represented?
Yep.
On that committee, like right there, all I saw was the gentleman that was on the picture. But I would love to know who's on that board and who's on that committee making those decisions. And is there a transgender person on that committee to be able to give them recommendations on what their next steps should be instead of just banning these kids?
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, this is the Democratic governor of Louisiana who made no moves to halt this. So that's who this gentleman is. I want to get to this comment. Shouts out to we see you, Doug, man. Thank you for joining. But he says they can still try out for the men's team. It just bars transgender women from competing against biological women. Now, there's an issue with that statement. Thank you for the comment, man. But why would you want to try out if you can't compete? Why just go to practice when you can't actually suit up and actually get out there and go for a medal, go for a ribbon, go for whatever?
I think that's a generic statement.
Yeah.
Because you got to look at the other end. Let's say okay, they could try out for the men's squad. Now they're going through the transgender process, and they're going to try out for the men's squad, and now they're competing with men in the transgender's body in the transgender makeup. We got to be real with ourselves. They will be ostracized by ignorant people.
Yeah.
They will be commented, torn down, everything from people, from the stands to other people that compete against, just because they don't understand what that person is going through.
Okay.
So trying out is cool, and even they make the team, that may be cool that they can achieve that accomplishment. But we got to look on the social impact part of that. What's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of ignorant people going at those people, and that's a lot to take on for someone. Going through the transgender process.
No, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
In that sport, man, sports is probably the most radical, racial,
divisive, and especially look, we calm about our collegiate sports and our high school sports here on the West Coast. Look, if y'all never been to Texas, if y'all never been to the East Coast, it's the real deal out there. High school and amateur sports is no joke. It's more important than professional sports at times. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't just imagine how that person will be able to react under that scrutiny. Trying to compete in their same sex sport when they're trying to change their sex. Does that I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's even more difficult. Like saying I can't play sports or saying, hey, you know what, we got to go play co-ed.
Yeah, you got to go play someplace else. Man, that just the weight of that on a young person's mind and psyche, and just social acceptance. That drawing more attention to them than they want to, and they're just trying to be themselves. Right? They just want to compete. They just want to play. This is who I am. Let me play.
In sports, that you hit it right on there. That won't be just let me. There won't be that. When you're trying to do that. So I think that sounds good on paper. That comment sounds great on paper. It sounds good in theory, but in reality, that doesn't work. That does not work. I mean, let's go back to Caitlyn Jenner. How much scrutiny did she get when she changed her sex?
Yeah.
I remember social blogs people were calling out her name, rap songs were talking about her.
Yeah, it was tough out here in these streets for Caitlyn. Yep.
It took us even now. I don't think she's fully accepted now, but it's taken just now for her to be tolerable to a lot of people. Like they just don't say anything about it anymore. That's what I mean by tolerable. Or I would say accepted. That's a tough thing. You're asking a person to go compete under lights, in front of people in that process. No, I don't think. Man, I don't think it'll be.
And then, especially you think about it, if you start winning, right?
Yeah.
then you got all kind of folks, all kind of scrutiny. Yeah, no matter how to start winning.
If you start winning, if you start winning, it's even worse.
Yeah, that's
so.
True.
I mean, man, like I said, I do not have the answer. This is a tough one, man. I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer could possibly be, but I do know, two wrongs in this case are making it right.
Yeah.
Banning them is not making them right, and preventing them to compete is not right either. So I'm not quite sure. This just needs to be rewritten and kind of back to the table and get some other lenses and get some people talking about it so they can make the change. Like right now, it's going under the table, like some of those laws they do all the time. They sign bills that go under the table that we don't really know about. We barely read. This is one of them, I think, that needs to be really brought to the forefront, and people need to start talking about it so they can start to make the change in the beginning and get it right from the beginning, not in the end.
Wow. So we have championed, while you're talking, I said, we have championed NIL. We have championed Brittany Griner. We've championed mental health. I think this should be one of the next one that we make sure doesn't get swept under the rug, because it's not going anywhere.
No.
Right. And the conversation is continuing to evolve. I think it's going to get louder as schools get back into session, because right now everybody's out. But then, like I say, every 3 years we start talking about the Olympics, and then these high school collegiate athletes who are probably pretty good have desires and hopes and goals of competing for their country. So it's going to come up then, and then you've got the Olympic Committee who has to make that decision, right? They haven't made a decision yet about the other individual that we talked about a few weeks ago. I can't unfortunately remember the name, but so we'll see if we can rally the troops and get some folks. We talk about this a little bit more. We're gonna get into it around here. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. I think somebody's gonna pick it up and talk about it, like we did, and like we saw the article and we posted.
Well, after they listen to our show, ESPN is always gonna pick it up. They be biting, man. ESPN Sports Radio be taking our stories, and I got problems with that. I'm not bitter. Yes, I am.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. If they want to start to tackle the social impact story like we do, hey, what they say, imitation is the best form of flattery. So go ahead and keep imitating.
Hilarious.
But like I said, man, like you said, the story's not going anywhere. I think we definitely really need to channel some more efforts towards it to kind of get it right from the beginning. I hate when we have to go back and correct things when we could have easily had the conversations to correct it. And I just think they need to start looking at through just another lens to figure out another lane to create for them. Like we do for everything else, we create other lanes for other things that go on. We need to figure out how to create another lane just because they're at the bottom line, they're human beings and they just want to play a sport. If you think about it, it's just another kid that just wants to play a sport, regardless what they identify with.
Just trying to lace them up, coach. Put me in, coach. Yeah. That's all. We're just trying to put them in. All right. I'm
sure we can bring some light to it, but let's move on, my man.
Yeah, let's move. So, couple of stories that you weren't aware of, but I just want to get your reaction to, and also the community's reaction to them. You watch golf much?
A little bit, not too much, but I watch a little bit.
Okay, golf's in the news right now, and it's not necessarily, it's not just Tiger. There is a new tournament that has been invitational series that's been launched called the LIV. It's not here. It's not part of the PGA. The LIV Golf Invitational is actually overseas. It's funded by the Saudi Arabian government. The golfers that have decided to compete within the LIV series, LIV is the Roman numeral for 54. There's 54 matches within this invitational series. Those golfers are no longer part of the PGA. They have been banned. Use that word again. They have been kicked out of the PGA. So they can no longer compete with the Rory McIlroys, the Tiger Woods, folks that decided to stay with PGA. These folks were offered millions and millions of dollars to leave the PGA and go compete in the Saudi Arabian government-backed invitational, but they turned it down. I believe the story was that Tiger was offered close to $1 billion, and he said, "No, it's not for me." Challenge is Phil Mickelson. A lot of people know his name, right? He moved from the PGA to the LIV. Dustin Johnson, a lot of people know his name. He moved from the PGA to the LIV. What's his name? Sergio Gomez. I forgot his last. A lot of prominently named and known golfers have decided to follow the money for the most part. That's what this story is saying right here. Rory McIlroy just won a couple of days ago, and he's saying, "Look, I didn't go over there messing around because this is following money that's backed by the Saudi Arabian government. I'm a traditionalist. I'm staying with the PGA because that's just where the history is. That's where the Arnold Palmers is. That's where the Jack Nicholson, right? That's where that is. And that's where I'm trying to build my legacy. Thanks, Doug. Sergio Garcia. Yeah. This is becoming a very controversial conversation in the sports world because it seems to be all about the money again. And
well, but I mean, okay, let's pause you right there. Why is it controversial when it's competitions of leagues? I mean, I think this new millennium, this new era of this new generations of Generation Z, I guess we're in now, or and Generation Z, Generation Z and Y, they see things completely different than we did. Our tradition is not their tradition anymore. So why, if someone is going to have a league that's competing with the PGA and kind of and the sport is similar, but maybe there's a few different things, and the money's there. Why it's so bad to have the choice?
I'll tell you what the issue is, which seemingly apparently is what the issue is. Statement right here: the fact that it's backed by the Saudi Arabian government. And we know that listen, come on, I'm gonna go ahead and get political, right? We know that the Saudi Arabian government has been accused of crimes against humanity and things of that nature. So that's the case right there for a lot of disdain for this. Well, I'm just kind of telling the story, right? I'm telling the story. I'm not necessarily giving my opinion, but I'm telling you the story, what's going on behind it.
Well, how hypocritical is that? United States does the same thing.
Come on now. Come on. Listen, I told you I'm pulling off the scab. I just want to have these conversations. Come on.
Yeah. We're not. You mean to tell me what they did to those Haitians at the border wasn't human?
Come on.
You mean sometimes the way they deport some of these people that come over this country to make a better life for themselves isn't inhumane? You mean to tell me what we did in Vietnam wasn't inhumane? We do inhumane things as just swim. We may not do sweatshops, stuff like that to children or anything, but we're not innocent by any stretch of the imagination. So money is money. Green is green.
Money is money.
Yeah, if you can work for anybody you want, if you want to get paid, unfortunately, you may not agree with what they're doing on the big end, or what they've done, or what they've been accused of. But if they want to get their money and go get it on, I don't see any problem with it within the sport. Now, my only question with them on LIV is where they're going to play. Do they always have to play in Saudi Arabia, or do they get to play in some of the courses here in the United States? And I believe if the money's okay and the money's right, I'm quite sure Torrey Pines is going to be open to whoever's paying attention.
They are playing here in the U.S. at a number of courses.
Yeah,
I've got the list as well. But see, that's the conversation that I wanted to have, right? Because it's very slanted so far in the news, and this is something that folks are probably going to be talking about around the water cooler. I'm hearing that Phil Mickelson, and I'm hearing that Greg Norman, and I'm hearing that all these big name folks that you hear and you see on commercials are no longer part of the PGA. Why? Because they went and played for the LIV golf tournament.
Yep.
And like Doug is saying, listen, man, the players want that guaranteed money, and it's grown folks' money. They're already getting good money. Now it's grown folks' money. But this statement right here, the PGA has held tournaments in Saudi Arabia before. They only mad because they lost the big names, period. But this is the conversation I wanted to have, right? Because again, you're going to hear about it on left, right, and center news outlets. But here, that's the statement right there that I wanted to actually come out. It's not a bad thing to be following that money if you're taking care of your family. You made that decision consciously as a Phil Mickelson and as a Dustin Johnson to lead the PGA.
I want to go back to your comment, what you said, because of what Saudi Arabia has supposedly been accused of about inhumane acts.
Yeah.
And I want to make an analogy. Do people still work for the Minnesota Police Department?
All day, every day. 24/7.
Did they just commit a inhumane act on a young man? I don't know, maybe not even a year ago.
Go. Keep talking. Go ahead.
So. Tell me what the difference is. Them saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go work for a company that's maybe been accused of creating an inhumane act, but they're going to pay me the money that I'm worth." So people need to get off that high moral stepping stool and judging everyone, and let this generation kind of do what they want to do. And I agree. PGA is just upset because they're starting to lose big names because Saudi Arabia is backing that money of what they got.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I believe there's nothing wrong in the spirit of competition, when especially comes to professional leagues like that. I like it even better because that now expects more young people to become more professionals. It now opens that door for more people to be able to get in that level and get in that competition and make money that is their profession.
There was nothing wrong
So
with competition. There you go, right there. I
nothing
feel like there
wrong.
is nothing wrong with competition. And these players are, listen, Mickelson's, I don't know, he's an old cat. He's up, my age, 50, 60, whatever. He knows what he's doing. He made the conscious decision to say, listen, I know if I go over here, I'm gonna have to leave this one behind. He said, I hope it's not that way. I'm paraphrasing an interview that he did a couple of days ago. I would hope that the PGA would allow us to still play eventually down the road. But for me in my house right now,
Time to go. Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here and do this thing right here and get this LIV money.
Yeah, man.
You cannot be mad at these men for doing that. You can't be mad.
You cannot be. You can't be mad at them, and
Yeah.
you can't. That state, like I said, that statement. Actually, that statement pissed me off, man. That you highlighted. That's so unfair to be critical of the people that are paying the dollar.
And this is right out of Golf Digest too. So yeah, I mean, it's no. See, so again, you understand.
Wait. Right? We said it. Who's Golf Digest biggest sponsor or biggest storyteller is PGA. So
Yes.
of course they're going to say negative things about what who's bought up by it. The Saudi Arabia government does this and does that and does this. Man, political views aside, because they probably done some crazy things that we don't agree with and all that stuff. But we're talking about just the business of golf. In the business of golf, I think it's okay to go compete at LIB. Now, don't get me wrong. I know, years ago we did apartheid against Pepsi because they were supporting South Africa, right? And the things that were going on with them.
Yeah.
But people still drank Pepsi, still going on to Pepsi and all. So we brought awareness. I think this is even a more platform to bring awareness to what Saudi Arabia is doing and clean it up. If we're going to use that round, this is a place we can bring more awareness to it. If they're doing some wrongdoings to kind of clean it up and help them to do better. But to knock these men for going to compete in that league just because it's backed by Saudi Arabia, I'm sure a lot of things we do is backed by some companies over layers and layers that we do not agree with.
Yeah.
We buy products every day that's got something bad behind it, in the forefront.
Every single day. Jeans. Every single day.
How many people wear jeans? How many people out there wear Levi jeans? Levi jeans was corrupt in South Africa for years. Still do. They still pour their chemicals in their running water. I haven't seen nobody stop wearing jeans. There's nobody protesting saying we don't want to wear jeans no more.
God.
So why are we getting this political value? Why has it become a political issue now? Because now professionals want to jump and go play in that league. I think there's where they're wrong in that article and saying that. You want my opinion? I have no problem with them going there and play. Go get your money. Go do what you're going to do. If you ain't hurt nobody and you're doing okay, and you can bring some awareness to correct some wrong, I'm all for it, 100%.
See, folks, yep. See, Montel knows. I find some of these stories sometimes just to, like I said, throw some salt in wounds to have that conversation. 80% of the time, he and I agree on what we're talking about, but this dialogue needs to happen and needed to happen. It's pretty cool to even see that a lot of folks in the community in the comments right now kind of agree with us right now. What Doug is saying, PGA should have just be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
They're just giving free publicity to this new competition, and that's what it is. But a lot of folks are interested in golf. There's a lot of money that's tied up in golf. So that's really why I wanted to have this conversation, because listen, this when you start going to the US Open, when you start going to the Masters and you start going to those competitions and you're like, well, where's Sergio? Where's Dustin? Where's Phil?
Yeah.
Right. So that's when it's going to come out, and it may be an even more convoluted conversation. So listen, Team No Sleep, we getting in front of him. We talking about it right now.
You know what would be interesting now? I would be very interested to see if the Saudi Arabians, what sponsorships they have, right? Like what sponsorships do they bring to the forefront? Because let's be perfectly honest, if they're going to start golfing over here in the US in these big venues, I'm sure at some point they're going to pick up some TV time, because these are just well-known professional golfers that attract. So once they start getting that TV time, I would be interested to see what kind of sponsors they get. Now, if that sponsorship starts becoming equal to what PG&A does, then PG&A got some problem. They know at that point we got to change something. This has got to change. If they don't, it may be, I don't know how much. I know Saudi Arabia has money, but at some point, they won't make money if they don't get the sponsorships. Obviously, in the long run, you have to start getting sponsorships in order for it to keep regenerating money. That's how they get their contracts and all this thing. That's the part I'm more interested in than anything. The beginning back of the money, Saudi Arabia got that all day.
Yeah.
But can LIB, as long as PG&A has lasted because PGA has sponsorships for 10 centuries.
Yeah.
Had,
well, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be an issue because, as you mentioned, the Saudi Arabian government has boatloads of money that, just money like it's nobody's business. But this guy right here, folks in the golf world know who this guy is. Great Australian golfer, Greg Norman. Greg Norman is the CEO of LIV. So he's at the head of it. He's the one doing all the recruiting. He's the one, right? He carries the clout and was able to tell someone like a Phil Mickelson, come on over here and hang out with us, get this money. Hey, Sergio, come on over here and get this money. He couldn't convince Tiger, couldn't convince Rory. So couple of folks, but in terms of sponsorships, endorsements, you got some high powered names at the top of the list. So it's going to happen. It's just going to be kind of interesting to see as it all starts going up.
I love it, man. I think it's great, man. I wish it would be the kind of like the oversight of boxing. How boxing has the WBO, the WBA, and the WC kind of sanctions arenas. It would be great if golf had that. They're part of the LIV, they're part of the PGA, but they can also cross pollinate as they play against each other, or cross pollinate in tournaments.
Cross pollinate, come on now.
Or even even versus like LIV versus PGA in the golf
tournament.
Something like that.
They're not ready for that. Yeah.
They just, I mean, right now I think this PGA is bitter, but I think as I say, you have to either be opposed of it or you got to start to embrace it. And I know football, so I can go back to football. The USFL failed, right, when they tried to compete against the NFL.
Yeah.
They failed, they couldn't compete. Dwayne Johnson's very smart. He's bringing the XFL because the XFL failed too when they tried to compete with the NFL. Because they were kind of combative. What Dwayne Johnson did with the XFL says, hey, you know what? I want to embrace the NFL. I want to be your feeder. I want to be kind of your baby brother. I want to just be able to provide another outlet for more athletes. And now it's working.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's be able to bring this. It's gonna work because the NFL is going to endorse him. A PGA would just endorse the LIV and kind of start them in that partnership. I think they can make more money than they can ever imagine instead of the PGA just losing money.
Yeah.
Right.
They sitting with their tail between their legs right now and just disappointed that they losing some big names. So they just gonna go pout in the corner right now. We'll see it all fleshes out, but that's kind of how PGA officials are responding right now to competition. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You the only game in town. Okay, we'll move on, but I wanted to bring that up because again, that had some controversy for a subset of the sports world, and it's going to grow. It's going to get a little more loud as well as we move on. Let me see. I'm trying to do some things. I'm trying to raise the production level. Let's see what happens if I do this. Can you hear that?
Nope, I can't hear it.
Oh man, you can't hear. Oh, all right. Let me.
So they can hear it. They might be able to hear it.
I don't know. Hey, can y'all? No, I see it's not playing through my system audio. Okay, I'll fix that. Trying to raise production level all the time, but I'm always trying to step it up one more time. Listen, you mentioned boxing.
Yes.
Always some news in boxing. No one's necessarily throwing them blows right now, but Floyd Mayweather. Wow. Money Mayweather. He wants to take some of them suitcases of money and invest and become an owner, either primary or secondary. Just put his name on the dotted line of an NBA team. What is that all about? What's your thoughts on someone like a Floyd Mayweather crossing sports genres? Crossing from boxing and going into NBA as a primary or maybe even a minority owner.
He's a big fan of the NBA. He has the money to get into ownership. I think it's a great opportunity for him. I think he mentioned this at the right time because the NBA is talking about they may possibly expand in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And I know, and Las Vegas is one of the places they're talking about expanding too as a team. Why not Floyd Mayweather, the biggest draw in Las Vegas boxing history, not have an opportunity to get a piece of that pie and be a part of that team and be a part of that ownership. And for him to let his money go longer than it's going right now. I think it's a great opportunity, man. I think cross-pollinating sports is not nothing new.
Yeah.
We talked about Patrick Mahomes last week. He owns Kansas City Royals. There's nothing wrong with that if you own another sport. I think it only becomes tainted if you buy in your sport that you're playing, because then you can have some type of outcome control, with that things. But if you're purchasing in another sport, I have no problem with it. I wish Floyd the best, but I think these are great talks he's getting involved with. I think he's, like you said, he's putting his money where his mouth at the right time. Still talking about expansion, and possibly buying an existing team. And he's a fan of the sport. What better person to endorse the sport than one of the greatest boxers ever? He already knows about marketing. He's done it all of his life.
That's where I was going to go. Right. If anyone can be an ambassador and get out there and talk about and advertise and market, I think Floyd, even more, because Shaq owned part of the Kings here, right? But he really wasn't as vocal. He really, look, Shaq does his thing and he's fantastic at what he does. But man, just to be able to raise the level of conversation, even though the NBA is one of the biggest games in town, period. But someone like Money Mayweather out there talking about owning a team, doing whatever, that just seems to raise that marketability. First time I read this story, I initially thought about what we talk about of combining and doing something with WNBA. He could be someone that could sit in that room and say, listen, let's really go out here and make this money. Let's really go out here and make this entertaining. Because I look at Floyd, honestly, less as an athlete, even though he's a phenomenal athlete, but I look at him as an entertainer. Right. He knows business. He knows how to bring people and put people in seats, and he knows how to make people spend that money. So he is someone that could actually, if he's got the keys to the conference room, he could actually make something like that happen of raising the visibility of the WNBA and doing something with flailing. He could be the Deion Sanders, right? He could be the next Deion Sanders.
I don't see that. I see him more of like you said. I think he's an expert in definitely marketing himself, and I think he can market things that he owns and he wants to be a part of. I think he's a master of that. I think the fact that he's a big fan will add a lot because he'll be at games. People will be able to see him. He's accessible as far as visually seeing him at the courtside of games and all that stuff wherever he would own. I believe that I think people don't realize. I think Floyd Mayweather has a heavy voice in the sports world for what he's accomplished. People know he came from pretty much nothing. His uncle and his dad was boxing, but he rose to mega superstar. Way above them to be able to be in the positions that he's in right now, owning his own production company with boxing. I think he can bring so much to the table, from his boxing experience over to, I think, basketball as far as marketing and how we should do things and what could be the entertainment factor. I think he will be hugely valued in those lanes. And the fact that he's, like I said, he has the money to do it. Why not? I mean, why not? Green is green. It doesn't matter, if he has the money, he can do it.
Green is green. Go ahead.
Why not give an opportunity to be a part of it or be a part of a buying group to be able to get in? Also, I think Floyd's connections within the hip hop community will bring another draw. You know what I mean? He'll have a lot of support because he has a lot of support from other entities within the hip hop community to want to support his team and support what he's trying to do and be a part of what he's doing. He'll have the boxing community buy into what he's trying to do and be a part of what he's doing. So he has a lot of guys and people that will be in his corner if he gets the opportunity to be in it to be successful. So I think it's great. I think it's a great news, man. And the opportunity to be an owner, man, is always good.
Yeah.
Your own business, man, it's always a good thing. Congratulations to the man if he's able to pull it off.
I think it would happen if anyone can do it. Floyd is boisterous enough to make it happen. He's got enough. He walks around with enough cash in his suitcases, in the trunks of his car that he can actually make that down payment if necessary.
Well, it was crazy. Floyd brings these guys a lot, man. I mean, the apparel, the cars, his lifestyle that he lives, that he really likes to exploit out there. His lifestyle is something that is very appealing. I think when you want to own a team, right? Because you want to show that, you want to be able to market that, you want to be able to put that out there, you want to be able to flash because people are interested in watching that. I think he could cross over and do a lot of those things. And like I said, his influence in the hip hop community and the music community and what he's done in boxing and all these other arenas, man, I just think he could bring so much to the table. It'll be a boxing exhibition halftime.
And he'll be out there suited up too, right? Trying to throw them moves. Him and
You
Oscar. Him
never
and
know.
Oscar De La Hoya. Well, no, not messing around with him.
No.
Yeah, we not messing around with Oscar no more.
But look what he's doing. But look what he's doing with his boxing. You know, his boxing company. He's got another champion under his stable with his boxing team that they're doing and all these different things. Man, I think he's really got a pizzazz for doing those types of things. But also depends what market he gets into. Where does he go?
True.
If he goes to Vegas and he gets one of the expansion teams, it'll be great fit.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll do so great if he owns the Indiana Pacers.
That's,
you know, it's got.
I couldn't see. I honestly, yeah, you're right. I didn't even think that. Dwayne Wade. What does he own?
Utah Jazz.
Right. I could have seen Dwayne. Listen, I'm not in those conversations with him and his wife, but so Utah Jazz and Dwayne Wade don't seem to match as much as maybe him trying to get a little piece of Miami or whatever. But
I disagree with you because I think if you look at the bigger picture, remember when you get that ownership, it's all profit sharing, right? Who sells out their stadiums? Who sells memorabilia? Utah Jazz owns all of Salt Lake City. They sell out every game.
Well, because there's enough to do in Utah. I've been there.
I've been there too. But you're talking
nothing going on
from a standpoint. But you're talking from a fan standpoint, from a business standpoint.
I am. Okay. No, I am. You're right.
It makes all the sense in the world to own the Utah Jazz. We're gonna sell it every game, whether we win, lose, or draw. Our memorabilia is gonna sell every year, and I'm gonna get a big old check at the end of the year from my investment.
See, that's why I don't have that Dwayne Wade money. See that? There you go. I'm making decisions like I'm just, down in the 200 section, and he on the floor.
He's on the floor, man. So I think business-wise, it's a great investment. I think Shaq's was a great investment for Sacramento Kings because, like you said, Sacramento Kings have sold out for the last 30 years. Okay, I could care less if they win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
My paycheck's coming at the end of the day because they're going to sell out every game, and their memorabilia is going to sell. That's all I care about. Now, it's a bonus if they make the playoffs and if they're winning, but if they don't win, I'm still making money whether they win, lose, or draw. It's a great investment any way around. So that's the business 101 of sports, everybody. So
there it is, right there.
As a fan, you got to think as a business person.
Professor Allen is in the building. Make sure you give the teacher, some kudos. So if you want that plus on your report card, because right now you just got a B-. You want a B+. If you want B+, you're gonna have to subscribe to the channel. There, come on now, do what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Floyd Mayweather is talking about possibly owning a sports team. That's good stuff. That's good news, right? I mean, that's commendable. But we got another story. We got someone who actually signed on the dotted line and now owns the team. Let's go ahead and give these flowers to Miss Mellody Hobson, first Black female owner in all of NFL history, who is part owner of them Denver Broncos. Come on now. Let's just let that marinate right there just for a minute right there. Yeah. Mellody Hobson is in that room at the table.
That's just a power move, man.
Come on.
I'm happy. I'm happy that she's a part of that group that bought it. I don't know how much say she has, as far as the owner. If she's a minority share owner, she's going to be one of the ones to be in their meetings and figuring out rules and regulations and talking about, all that other good stuff with the NFLPA. But the fact of the matter is she kicked her foot. Her foot is the first one in the door.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's going to open up doors for other ones to get in. And so a big power move for her and her business partners who bought in. And I hope she continues to open doors. I hope she does use her platform now that she's at to use her voice to kind of make things happen and change, where there needs to be corrections in the NFL.
Crack the door open for other folks, right? Because Goodell, he can make this statement, and I'm highlighting it right now. Right, Commissioner Goodell stated that he wanted the next ownership group to have some minority representation throughout the whole bidding process for the franchise. Okay, we've got. He says a lot of things, and you can take some of it with a grain of salt. But Goodell said that, and now we have Miss Hobson. I think she's
not the first Black owner or female owner, because the Serena Williams and them owned a piece of the Dolphins. Serena.
Yes, they own a minority stake in the Dolphins. Correct, that is true. But the role that Ms. Hobson is going to have, I think, is going to be much more vocal for the. You asked the question: do you think that she's going to be at that table making decisions? I think because of her household, that she will be. You know who her husband is?
No, I do not.
Let me show you her husband.
Oh, my man, the director dude, the movie guy, right?
George
Lucas,
the creator of Star Wars. So that's a powerhouse right there. Right.
Yes.
So they get things done. They make big money moves. That's like Oprah Winfrey, right? That's
bigger than
who she's sitting across the table from at the house.
Yeah.
Mellody Hobson is going to make some things happen in the NFL at the Denver Broncos organization. She's going to crack the door open for other folks. I truly believe that this is nothing but greatness for everyone who wants to have a say, right? Wants to have an opportunity. So yeah, so that's who she's sitting across the dining room table from right there, the man who created Star Wars. So shouts out to Mellody Hobson.
I think, yeah, man, like I said, I hope she's able to make that impact. I would love to see where she's at and be able to give her perspective in those meetings. You know, we all know the NFL has a lot of cleanup to do in the background.
Yeah.
And hopefully she could spearhead that, not only for African Americans, but also women, you know, who want to get into the profession of being in administrative roles, or who wants to be in the ownership role and management roles and GM roles in the NFL, which, you know, there's far and few in between. I believe she can kick down a lot of doors with that. But you know what? Proof is in the pudding. It has to start in house. I want to see what she does with her organization first before we see, you know, her being able to spread her wings out into all of them. Because the bottom line, she's one in a room of 30 other men, or 30 other men. And one's another minority, which is the Jacksonville owner, which he's I'm not quite sure what his nationality is, but the rest are, you know, middle-aged or old white men that have been set in their ways for so many years, would also want a lot of money. So it's going to be, you know, let's see what happens, kind of what she does in-house, because she has more control of what happens in-house than she does throughout the league first.
Correct. I completely agree with that. And that's one of the reasons why I also stopped on this graphic here on the screen right here. So she's been in those rooms, and she's been in those situations where she's been definitely pinned up against the majority, right? As the chairwoman of the board for Starbucks, as the chairman of the board for DreamWorks, for all these positions that she's had to deal with a lot of adversity. Yeah, it's going to be completely different and chauvinistic, I think, dealing in the National Football League. But
yeah,
she's been up to she's been around the block a few times and knows how to handle herself. So, but this is a test.
The only argument with you, this is going to be different, because the other 29 or 30 people that's in the room got just as much money as you and your husband does, and make power moves just like him do. So you know what I'm saying? There's a little bit to it. When she's, you know, when she's one of the most richest and most influential, most powerful women in the room, it does speak volumes.
Yeah.
And it'll speak volumes in the NFL. But those guys in that room are just as powerful and just as high, or not higher. You know, Modell, you know,
you got Jerry Jones in there, and you know he got more money than he don't even know where half his money is. So
hey, yeah, the Rooney family and all those guys.
Yeah.
Hey, they you know, they're not going to budge as easily just because she's in the room. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be intimidated because she's in the room and speaking. But the fact that she's at the table, that speaks volumes. I'm not going to deny that. But like I said, I want to see how you change in-house, because that'll show how you're going to be an influence the other teams outside the house.
Wow. Yeah.
They got to go through.
Good point. That's a good point. We will see, but you know, that's a good thing to have, though.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that's a good thing to have for sure.
Yeah, I gotta get some Broncos gear.
Yeah, man, gotta go rock some Broncos gear. I don't know, that would probably clash with my Steelers gear, so I'm not sure if that's gonna work. But
now you could just root for when they ain't going against the Steelers.
Oh, Steve.
You good?
I think I've been invited. Did I tell you this? I've been invited to Steelers game in Miami when they played the Dolphins.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
So I think I'm a real out there. Someone who I interviewed a few months ago, you know, made the offer. I was looking at tickets. I said, okay, I might be able to make this happen. So shouts out to that colleague and to that opportunity. I'll let you know, Montel, if I'm up in there in Miami Dolphin Stadium, twirling my terrible towel.
Yeah, please let me know, man. That's good all the way around, bro.
Yeah, we'll see how that happens. Let's go ahead and move. I got one more story, and it's kind of a funny story. It's a tail end, so I figure we do 3 stories. And listen, it's already been an hour, so I think it's right on time. So I'll do just kind of the pause right now for the calls. Oh my God, there it is right there. Listen, every Tuesday, 6:30, this is what we do. Team No Sleep. 6:30 on the Pacific side. If you're on the East Coast, just stay up a little bit longer. I know, what is it, 9:30 on your time? Don't worry about it. Just stay with us.
Man,
stay
the
live is
NBA
real fast. Replay is cool too. Stay with us live. Yeah. Listen, I want to also give some shouts out to everyone. Probably saw Sunday we did a little something special with Mr. Montel Allen. He has kicked off a venture as well. Won't you go ahead and tell these folks what it is about the Straight from the Horse's Mouth?
Oh man,
come on.
This is something I've been working on a little bit. It used to be a Zoom call. Now I'm turning it into a podcast called Straight from the Horse's Mouth, where we're cutting out the middleman for information when it pertains to high school football and college football going to the next level. We have a lot of people that give them outside influences to give them information that's not accurate. On this show, we're going to have coaches, players, trainers, and so on to interview on here to so they can hear straight from the horse's mouth on how things are happening. So I want to be able to give these student athletes and these athletes the power of no. And that comes straight from the horse's mouth. So that's what the show is all about. So we kicked it off on Sunday with Coach McClure from Southern Utah. He's a linebackers coach there. He was gracious enough to bless us with a lot of gyms and everything. And the show is just I hope it becomes big, because I want to continue to kind of make it grow throughout the year and get more and more guests. And if anybody knows anybody out there, I'm ready to go. I want to go also into basketball and baseball as well, softball and every other sport as well, just to kind of start to get an idea how those sports work and how people want to take it to the next level. But I'm tired of misinformation. So let's get it straight from coaches and how to pursue these things. And that way, parents and kids can be educated at that point. So that's what the show's all about.
Well, he said straight from the horse's mouth, and it was. I was sitting in behind the scenes, and it was dope. It was a good conversation. So, definitely, it'll be on the Team No Sleep channel. It'll be part of that product of services. And Montel, you just tell me when, brother. Whenever you're ready to go live, I'm back here pushing the curtain. I'm behind the curtain, pulling all the strings. So I will do what we need to do to make sure you're successful. Congratulations on that, though, brother. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. You ever been to Gloucester in where is it at? In Britain? Gloucester?
No.
I don't even
actually
saying it right.
I've never been over to England or anything at all.
You need to go. And you ever you like cheese?
Cheese?
Cheese.
Cheese. Oh, girl, like cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like cheese.
Okay. So here's where I'm going. Here's where I'm going. Every year there's this famous cheese rolling contest, right? Whole bunch of folks. I know. So listen, we're gonna end on a good mood. Every year there's this famous cheese rolling contest in Gloucester. People run down the hill chasing a round block of cheese. It's very painful because it's boggy, it's wet, it's muddy, it's all the things. People have been injured, broken limbs, been sprained. I think they have ambulances just waiting. But apparently it's the funnest thing happening out there on the planet because folks go out there and do it every single year. The reason that it's here on this show right now is for the first time an American woman actually won this particular event. It's a big deal. I mean, look the picture there. You see people lined all up and down the rows here as it's happening. I'm gonna play a video of what actually happens at this particular event. So this is what it is. You've probably seen this before. Look at that. them folks is coming out, hurt, running down the hill after a round of cheese. Oh my goodness. Look, see, that don't make sense right there. That's dislocated. That's an ACL injury coming. Look at that right there. Right, we need to do this.
It's hilarious. I would actually watch that, man. I would sit there and watch it too so I can laugh. You know what's crazy, man, about sports overseas? Like these extreme sports, so you have this cheese thing, and then you have running to the bulls.
Yes,
they do some real extreme things overseas, man. That for sports entertainment or entertainment wise, it's kind of crazy.
This is actually considered an extreme sport in the particular region. The folks fly from all over the planet to go do it. You see the crowd that is lined up to watch these individuals do this. They have a men's race and they have a woman's race. And yes, for on the women's side, what's her name here? Young Abby Lamb from North Carolina took the honors and won there. She's North Carolina State University.
What's the prize that you win? Just the cheese?
You get the listen, man. You get the 8-pound round of cheese. You get to walk. Well, I don't know. You probably win something else. You probably get a beer. I believe you get a pint or something. But come on.
So that's another thing. These extreme sports, they don't get no money. It's just great. I mean,
you probably get a medal. You probably get the cheese. You probably get free drinks for the rest of the day. That kind of thing, and a free ride to the hospital to take care of them shin splints that you didn't just experience. That's what it's all about.
That's great. That's a great story, man. I think it's crazy. I remember when we used to think skateboarding in the X Games was so extreme, right?
Yeah,
that was extreme to us in the United States. Like, wow,
no,
these kids are crazy. Wow.
Yeah, no, this is the real deal right here. Yeah. Look at that. Look at this brother right here in the front with the flag.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He gone though, man. I would actually watch that just to laugh. I mean, if it was like a half an hour show, I'd probably look at it so I could just laugh, and see what's going on, man. But that's crazy. That's cool though. I think I don't know if I consider that a sport. That's more like a just little. That's like an event that you do, kind of like they do the mud races or the mud runs.
Right.
It seems like more of just an event that happens. But to go all the way to Great Britain to do it, I don't know if I would, travel all just to go chase a 8-pound block of cheese.
You're not going there chasing the cheese, brother? He's not going to go.
No,
all right. So we're going to leave that with y'all right there. Cheese rolling down the hill. People, that's what we do. Shouts out to the Americans. We won it for the first time in forever. Yeah. That's it, man. How you doing? It's in show, right? Okay.
Yeah, very blessed, man. Got a lot of things going on. I think probably one of the biggest things I got going on now is obviously the podcast show.
Yeah.
And then we got I got the Charles James Foundation. My friend passed away. My best friend Tim Water passed away earlier this year, and I put money in the scholarship in his name, and we're going to be giving that award for that scholarship, which I'm excited about, to kind of let his legacy live on, or allow his legacy to live on, to tell a little bit about him. So, now I'm in the giving scholarship business, man, along with my company Synopsis. They help match the scholarship. So it's kind of a big deal, man. So I'm really excited about that. And then, the podcast is coming up, and then just other things we got coming up in the future. So really excited about it.
Awesome, brother. Listen, folks, this is what we do. As I always say each week, appreciate you for joining. Martel, if there's some links to the scholarship and to some of the things that you're doing, shoot those my way so I can put them in the description and share that and let folks contribute as their heart so desires. We'll be back next Tuesday. We're going to talk about some things. There's always a story. I don't know if there's going to be another cheese rolling contest. Oh man. Hey, I said 7. I said in 7. I'm so upset. I'm so upset with these Celtics. I don't know what's going on with Smart. I don't like Smart.
I mean, he's balling.
He's always on the ground. He's always crying at the ref, like, call foul. No, brother, just get back and play. I have problem with that.
I think he's been playing good. I just think the role players of the Warriors have been playing a little bit better than the role players of Boston. So
last night, if Boston was going to win a game, it was last night, because Steph could not hit a 3 for nothing. His streak of hitting a 3 in every single game for like 200 games is done.
That's okay.
That's their opportunity. I still think 7. I still think 7. I think they gonna get it.
I think you might be right at 7, but I'm wishing for 6. I'm hoping they cut the jugular. This week. I hope they get them out of there, man, because I truly believe, I think if the Warriors can weather the storm, because Boston's gonna come out like gangbusters.
If
the Warriors can weather the storm and somehow take the lead, that basket and those shots get a little bit tighter on the Boston end, because they know they ain't got no way to come back. There's no more turning back.
True.
So that basket's gonna get a lot tighter. Them shots gonna become a lot harder. That focus is gonna become a lot more nervous if the Warriors can somehow have a lead going into that fourth quarter.
We'll see. We'll see. They've got more Listen, what's his name? The young cat, Poole. Man, that's a bad man. Look, I'm rooting for the Celtics, but Poole, that's a bad man right there. Goodness gracious,
No, but
he is the new Splash Brother. We'll see.
We gotta keep it on the West Coast. All y'all that we want to be on the West Coast.
See, we done. We done. I'm out.
Hey,
all right, brother.
Say everybody out there, shout out, say your prayers. Mental health is a real thing. Call somebody and check up on them. Make sure they're okay.
Done. Love it.